Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 173 based on novel. So let's start. A drop of water enveloped Luo Feng, traveling at high speed through the primordial space. Every time I observe the primordial space, I feel shocked. Luo Feng watched the outside, being able to see from afar a vast source world. In the blink of an eye, the droplet had already left that source world behind. We beings within the braided cage must have the protection of a world. Either we live in the source world, or in the world created by Senior Yuan and others. Luo Feng thought, if we are outside a world, it won't take long before we perish. The primordial space is infinitely vast, containing endless violent primordial force. This force is not like the refined and gentle force of a primordial crystal, it constantly erodes life. Only by leaping out of the braided cage can one survive long-term in the primordial space. Even what I observed of the primordial space is not even a 10,000th of the real primordial space. Luo Feng, in his hometown, the land of origin, had also carefully observed the primordial space using the Eye of Life and Death. Under the observation of the Eye of Life and Death, the primordial space is magnificent and colorful. Layers of space are breathtaking, with energy passing through countless layers of space, generating more types of energy and evolving various creatures. Without the Eye of Life and Death, at this moment, Luo Feng observed only darkness in the primordial space and occasionally large entities. Luo Feng saw a whirlpool of mist, roughly the size of 1/10 of the land of origin. From the whirlpool extended a misty head, gazing distantly in Luo Feng's direction. From the size, it should be a high-level primordial life, Luo Feng guessed. During transmission, one occasionally encounters a high-level primordial life. Encountering a world-level primordial life is extremely rare. Of course, for those like Luo Feng who haven't leaped out of the braided cage, judging strength is simple, look at size. In legend, those slightly smaller than an entire source world are at the primordial ancestor level, the most terrifying existence. Those larger than the land of origin are estimated to be world-level primordial life. Comparable to a small part of the land of origin is generally high-level primordial life. Of course, this judgment might have errors. After all, some powerful beings might deliberately shrink their size. But for those like Luo Feng who haven't escaped the braided cage, the ability to discern is limited. The dark sacred realm is here. The droplet surrounding Luo Feng shot straight towards a special world. This world, entirely black, shimmered with a hint of dark red. It was much smaller than a source world. Swish! The droplet instantly entered the interior of the dark sacred realm. The dark sacred realm, at the top of the towering holy mountain. At the peak was a dark lake, from which Luo Feng flew out and landed beside it. Dark sacred realm? Luo Feng felt the suppressive force of the entire world. The suppressive power was comparable to the Nine Rivers sacred realm, and his late-stage divine emperor, Life and Death Tao, could remain stable in the dark sacred realm without modification. My Life and Death Tao already gradually traverses all worlds, Luo Feng thought. Friend, a flying boat will arrive shortly to take us to the 5 cities of the dark sacred realm. A cultivator nearby said with a smile. The dark sacred realm is more dangerous, and few cultivators dare to act alone, generally opting to ride the official flying boat. Luo Feng looked over and saw more than 50 cultivators gathered, with varied auras, but at least of late-stage divine emperor the enlightened level. Thank you. Luo Feng responded with a smile. Then he directly broke through the void and flew away. Swish! The figure of Luo Feng flying away blurred, then flew to the horizon, eventually disappearing completely. This scene left the 50-plus cultivators shocked. In the dark sacred realm, to shuttle through the void over short distances? Isn't it something only a pinnacle-level existence can achieve? At the pinnacle level, only some can do it. Saw the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Some cultivators were visiting the dark sacred realm for the first time, while others had been there multiple times, but all were aware of the difficulty of short-distance space travel in the dark sacred realm. To achieve this step, without a doubt, is among the most terrifying existences in the dark sacred realm. Black clothes, black hair, his appearance. Among the pinnacle level in the dark sacred realm, I've collected intelligence on all the ones with a bit of fame, but this one isn't in my intelligence. An old man said in confusion. I don't recognize him either. Of the 5 cities in the dark sacred realm, I've never heard of this pinnacle existence. Other cultivators were also puzzled. In the dark sacred realm, there are only 5 gathering cities of cultivators altogether. In each of these gathering cities, the pinnacle level generally has great fame. Collecting basic intelligence on them is relatively easy. Luo Feng had already obtained detailed intelligence on the dark sacred realm from Yuan Xiong Palace Master and the cultivator team. After leaving the transmission Holy Mountain, he directly headed to the gathering city, Chengong City, where the cultivator team was located. Chengong City is the city closest to the transmission Holy Mountain among the 5 cities of the dark sacred realm. This was also the reason Yuan Xiong Palace Master sought their aid initially. Phew. Luo Feng landed. Although he chose Chengong City as the first city to anchor himself, Luo Feng was not in a hurry to proceed. He was filled with curiosity about the entire dark sacred realm. The number and quality of low-level primordial life in the dark sacred realm far exceed those in the 9 Rivers sacred realm. Luo Feng was somewhat expectant, even heard that occasionally primordial prisoners appear. Primordial prisoners are high-level primordial life with sealed power. Apart from being imprisoned in large-scale primordial halls, a few primordial prisoners can also be found in the wild. Their powers are completely suppressed. Each discovery of a primordial prisoner attracts cultivators to form teams to hunt them down. In the dark sacred realm, acting alone at the peak level is quite dangerous. But for me, the threat is rather nominal. Luo Feng walked on the ground. The biomimetic destruction eye on his forehead also observed in all directions. Having taken the 100 Tribulations heart essence with a thinking speed boosted by 3,000 times, and in a constantly inspired state, it lasted for most of an era. Such cultivation efficiency is stronger than Luo Feng's normal couple of millennia of practice. Thus, during the previous retreat, Luo Feng's life path and destruction path encountered some obstacles, yet still reached the half-primordial level. However, improving the life and death Tao became difficult. Luo Feng slowly progressed from the late Divine Emperor life and death path, absorbing the nourishment of life and destruction, starting smoothly but gradually becoming harder until he was stuck in a bottleneck there. Stuck in a bottleneck, unable to move forward. Only then did Luo Feng shift to perfecting the undying blood seed body, biomimetic destruction eye, and other secret techniques. I am still some distance from reaching the half-primordial level in life and death Tao, just stuck in a bottleneck. Luo Feng also feels the challenges other cultivators encounter when hitting a wall in understanding, unable to progress. Nonetheless, compared to the battle in Yulon City, Luo Feng's accumulation in life and death Tao is deeper. Moreover, the half-primordial level life and destruction paths contribute to it, naturally elevating his realm much. The powers of various secret techniques have significantly increased. I've discovered a primordial life team. Luo Feng's biomimetic destruction eye can now see farther, and he spotted a team in the distance. It was a team of the primordial Wild Hoof clan. In the 9 Rivers sacred realm, primordial Wild Hoof usually act alone, rarely together in groups of 3 to 5. But here, there's a team of 82 primordial Wild Hoof acting together. Luo Feng gazed. Among them, 7 are at Divine Emperor perfection level, 75 at late-stage Divine Emperor level. A team like this, if it encountered Wei Yang Palace Master strength, likely wouldn't last a single exchange. Luo Feng interestedly walked over. With a step, he traveled through a space fissure and arrived nearby. 82 primordial Wild Hoof noticed Luo Feng almost simultaneously. A lone cultivator? Kill him. These primordial Wild Hoofs didn't hesitate. In the dark sacred realm's environment, low-level primordial life and cultivators have fought endlessly. Killing has long become instinct. Boom tilde. As the primordial Wild Hoof clan moved, countless blue thunders condensed in the void, like water pouring from heaven, and struck down toward Luo Feng like watery thunder. Luo Feng stood still, letting the thunder strike, yet these watery thunders couldn't touch a strand of his hair, blocked by an invisible force. The speed of the primordial Wild Hoof clan was initially very fast, attacking Luo Feng in unison. But upon noticing their released thunder couldn't hurt a single strand of Luo Feng's hair, this scene made them all tremble, and every primordial Wild Hoof began slowing down, preparing to escape without hesitation. "Since we've met, don't leave." Luo Feng reached out his hand. His palm turned into a large furry claw, which instantly pierced the void, covering a vast area ahead. The space of heaven and earth was divided, trapping the primordial Wild Hoof team in that isolated space. Phew! Luo Feng withdrew his hand. In his furry palm were the 82 imprisoned primordial Wild Hoofs. In Luo Feng's palm, the primordial Wild Hoof clan team seemed like mere toys, devoid of any resistance. Buzz! Each body remained intact, but their life cores silently split open, dying one after another. Meeting is fate. Luo Feng promptly stored all these bodies into his storage treasure. This low-level primordial life team posed no threat to Luo Feng indeed. According to Luo Feng's own estimation, in the Battle of Yulon City, he could suppress 4 super-limit-level entities alone. Today, he can suppress 10 by himself. He alone can rival a peak-level team. But my current strength is far from invincible. Luo Feng is well aware of this. Invincible is a whole level above peak level. At least equating to 20 or 30 peak level existences, that's the minimum threshold for invincibility. In truth, if the spiritual will emerges from the braided cage, peak level before such existence would be powerless under the will's crushing. Luo Feng walked to a lakeshore, suddenly sat cross-legged, contemplating the puzzles of cultivation. My path of life and death is completely stuck. Could it be that the path I explored on my own is a dead end? Luo Feng couldn't help but have some doubts. During the time of being a godly king, there was a complete great doubt to refer to. So there wouldn't be any dead ends. If you couldn't understand it, it was just because your comprehension wasn't enough, your ability wasn't enough. But during the Divine Emperor stage, you have to grope in the dark, and it's easy to go the wrong way, completely falling into a desperate situation, never able to progress. Why is the fusion path difficult? Because its complexity far exceeds a single path. It's very easy to get stuck and unable to move forward. Even with the comprehension of the Master of Deceit workshop, the fusion path only reached the early stage of Divine Emperor. I have the eye of life and death, having observed so many primordial bloodlines, my path should not be wrong. The path is not wrong, so how do I break through the bottleneck next? Luo Feng murmured softly. For life and destruction fusion, in the direction of life, what I pursue is the ultimate physical body. The bigger, the better. Big represents strong energy. Big represents the hope of bursting with immense power. Big also represents endless vitality. But, when the physical body becomes large enough, how to control it? According to my estimation, the half-primordial life and death path could theoretically reach 1.2 billion times the perfect divine body energy reserve. After the battle in Yulon City, Luo Feng went into seclusion again, advancing comprehensively, not far from the half-primordial life and death path, and could vaguely judge the theoretical power the half-primordial life and death path should have. As the hardest of the 3 invincible paths. Once this path succeeds, it is absolutely invincible. Back in the middle stage of the Divine Emperor's life and death path, the undying blood sea body had a 500 times perfect divine body energy reserve, which was peak combat power. At the limit, it could also control over 10,000 times the energy reserve, though strength did not increase. And now, my undying blood sea body has a 3,000 times perfect divine body energy reserve as peak combat power. At the limit, it can control 100,000 times the energy reserve. Any more and, because the body is too large, it cannot be perfectly controlled, causing strength to decline. But the half-primordial life and death path theoretically could have a 1.2 billion times perfect divine body energy reserve. How do I perfectly control them? Such a vast body, once I drive it, even walking will be difficult. This indicates that, in terms of controlling the body, I have a significant flaw. Luo Feng faced this bottleneck. His path of life and death was already very perfect in many aspects. A vast physical body, indestructible vitality, how to unleash immense power, all aspects have reached the predetermined target. Only one aspect. When the body was small, it was fine, as Luo Feng's current body's total reserve did not exceed a 5,000 times perfect divine body energy reserve, naturally driving it was easy. But the theoretical 1.2 billion times energy reserve is far from enough when driving and operating it. But if the vast body is sacrificed, this path cannot be called perfection. It wouldn't be the divine emperor perfection, path of life and death. According to the experience of many primordial bloodlines, to drive such a vast physical body, it is estimated that two conditions need to be met. First, in terms of controlling the physical body, there needs to be an essential metamorphosis. Second, the spiritual will must also break out of the braided cage. Only when both conditions are met can one perhaps perfectly control such a vast physical body. When chatting with Yuan Xiong Palace Master and the cultivator team, Luo Feng also knew that when the spiritual will just breaks out of the braided cage, its power only increases tenfold. Because historically, the first path of the Invincible Three, will breaking out of the braided cage, is the most, and they have also seen a few. The spiritual will is invincible, and with just one thought, it can completely suppress Yuan Xiong Palace Master and others. But it can only suppress. It cannot achieve will annihilation. The spiritual will only increases tenfold or so, which helps but is far from the level of perfect control. Luo Feng understood this. Such a vast body, even walking is arduous. Let alone tenfold, even if the will increases 100-fold, the vast body could probably fly agilely and perform some simple moves. But achieving the most profound moves is still impossible, much less multitasking. While using the vast body to deploy formations to trap enemies, and at the same time using close combat techniques, then using the biomimetic destruction eye to observe, and then using secret treasure against enemies. Multitasking would be the true perfect control of the physical body. The spiritual will has only increased tenfold, still far short. Far too short. The spiritual will breaking out of the braided cage, according to my estimation, is still far from enough. This means my path may be wrong. Perhaps my path of life and death should not pursue the extreme vastness of the physical body. Luo Feng also reflected on himself. Searching in the dark requires constant reflection and correction. Let's first try to explore methods for controlling the physical body. Luo Feng was not one to easily give up. This path was the direction he set from the start, and once the fundamental direction changes, the entire path of life and death would need to be overturned. He would need to start from the ultimate realm of God King, and redevelop and explore. A blank slate is best for painting. Even if he overturns the past path, he would still be influenced by the old path, and it's hard for the new path to be realized. This is cultivation. One wrong step, every step thereafter is wrong. As long as the path is cleared, there is no mistake. How long have I been cultivating? The ancestors of the two countries have experienced several reincarnation eras on the land of origin. What is this bottleneck? Luo Feng closed his eyes and began to quietly ponder. From one primordial bloodline after another, from the undying heart, the palm world, from the star tower, the eye of life and death, he sought some inspiration. Including the star tower, life and destruction are merely combinations, not fusion. The fusion path has no reference. The ordinary path can refer to the mysteries within the corpse materials of primordial life. The fusion Tao. There isn't even a reference for it. It's okay in the early stages, but the further you go, the harder it gets. Luo Feng truly encountered a major bottleneck on the path from the late-stage Divine Emperor to Divine Emperor Perfection. In fact, this isn't even the hardest part of the fusion path. From the path of Divine Emperor Perfection to the path of Primordial Level, that's the truly difficult one, like an insurmountable chasm. It's countless times harder than the bottleneck Luo Feng faces now. Many incredibly talented individuals switch to cultivate bloodlines to escape the braided cage. It's just because the path becomes more difficult the further you go, to the point of despair for cultivators. Mastering the physical body. How should such a massive physical body be mastered? Luo Feng pondered. Various spirit lights collided while studying each facet of the primordial bloodline. Wrong. This method is inadequate. Prototypes of methods for mastering the physical body emerged in his mind, only to be dismissed by Luo Feng as soon as they formed. With his wisdom, he already knew the future limits once a prototype appeared. Luo Feng walked on the land of the dark sacred realm, his mind continuously on cultivation, stopping occasionally to comprehend cultivation. If he encountered low-level primordial life forms along the way, Luo Feng naturally exterminated them in passing. Sometimes, killing the weak would attract stronger ones. After defeating the strong, a terrifying team might come to encircle him. Luo Feng discovered such threats with the biomimetic destruction eye from afar and immediately traversed between the cracks of heaven and earth to rapidly escape. See a th_fire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Luo Feng gazed at the ancient city ahead. Chengong City, have I arrived? Continuing to walk and comprehend, half an era had passed before Luo Feng finally reached Chengong City. Phew. Luo Feng fully restrained his aura, stepping across space directly into the city, then walked inside Chengong City. The majority of cultivators in the city couldn't detect his presence. The dark sacred realm gathers the strongest from many surrounding source worlds and countless worlds. A late-stage Divine Emperor level of enlightenment is the minimum threshold to enter here. Many half-primordial bloodline cultivators cultivating the bloodline path are at the bottom in the dark sacred realm. Bai Yin Divine Emperor and his companions are inside Chengong City. Luo Feng sensed the three friends from the cultivator team through causality but didn't rush to visit them. Instead, he flew towards the primordial hall in the city. The central city of the dark sacred realm, Primordial City, is the only one with a large primordial hall. Luo Feng also knew this information. When the dark sacred realm was first established, there was only one city, Primordial City, left by Senior Yuan and others. Over the long years that followed, cultivators exchanged battle merits to build for additional cities, making it easier for cultivators to hunt the surrounding low-level primordial life forms. The cities of the dark sacred realm have a much higher exchange price compared to those in the Nine Rivers sacred realm. Phew. Luo Feng flew directly to the second floor of the primordial hall. On the second floor of the primordial hall, two tall figures stood motionless. Only when Luo Feng arrived did they open their eyes simultaneously, their intangible auras enveloping the entire second floor of the primordial hall. Cultivator Luo Feng, are you here to confirm battle merits or exchange treasures? One of the tall figures spoke. They were puppets left behind by Senior Yuan and others, absolutely impartial. Confirm battle merits. Luo Feng nodded. These are the low-level primordial life-form corpses I hunted, please handle them. As he spoke, Luo Feng took out the storage bracelet and released its seals. Buzz, the two puppet beings began inspecting the contents of the storage bracelet. Though it contained an alarming number of low-level primordial life-form corpses, the puppets remained unfazed. Low-level primordial life-form corpses, including 9 super-limit level, 2902 Divine Emperor Perfection level, 39522 late-stage Divine Emperor level, 68990 middle-stage Divine Emperor level, and 83560 early-stage Divine Emperor level. Cultivator Luo Feng, your current battle merits are 7,717,660. One of the puppets announced the final merits. Luo Feng heard the number, over 7 million battle merits. The peak-level powerhouses of the dark sacred realm, although weaker than Luo Feng in strength, have accumulated a long lifespan, so they tend to purchase battle merits using primordial crystals. After all, the uses of battle merits far exceed those of primordial crystals. Therefore, having millions of battle merits among peak-level entities is quite common. With primordial crystals, 100,000 can purchase a single battle merit. Spending tens of billions of primordial crystals can buy millions of battle merits. Many cities have been purchasing battle merits for a long time, and Yulon City also participates in such exchanges. Although Luo Feng's battle merits amount to just over 7 million, he is considered extremely wealthy. That's because his battle merits were entirely earned by himself through hunting. The value of those primordial life-form corpses is worth tens of trillions of primordial crystals. 7 million battle merits should be enough. Luo Feng thought, turning to head directly to the first floor of the primordial hall, intending to sell all these corpses. This video will end here.